There we go. Alrighty then. We will get. Where's my mouse? I can't find it. I've got 3 screens. I cannot find. Okay, I see it. First world problems abound. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cantina here on the GenreVerse YouTube channel, GenreVerse Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps. I am Kyle. That is one of my cohorts, Cam Clark, who does a lot of writing on LRMonline.com, which you guys will be able to see, read some of the stories we're talking about today, and so much more, anything and everything in geek, pop culture, entertainment. You're watching us on the GenreVerse YouTube channel. Subscribe to that one. Cam also hosts a football, we call it soccer, where we love freedom, a football podcast over on GenreVerse Sports. Watch more football. Him and a few other Brits discussing that sport. It's really good, really fun. Check that out. If you're listening to the GenreVerse Podcast Network on your favorite podcast app, give us a follow there. Leave us a review. Would help us out quite a bit. And, of course, we do have merch. Link to our Redbubble is also down below. It's been a while, guys. Sorry. It's the way things are. We've had everything from sicknesses to eye infections to car trouble to just, you name it. The good Lord has thrown it at us.
Been a lot of Star Wars news as well.
That too.
To be fair,
that too.
You know, there's probably enough just to cover, several weeks worth of months.
Yeah.
To be fair.
And we got to talk about the Acolyte trailer on the last episode, and man, I tell you what, I still don't care. I want to. I do. I want to. I really, really do. But today we get to return to a favorite pastime of topics here on the Cantina, and that's Star Wars gaming, or the lack thereof. But we're actually getting something. We've been joking about Star Wars Outlaws for a while on whether or not it would actually release this year. It's scheduled for like August 30th, if I'm not mistaken.
August 30th. Yep.
Yeah, and another trailer, the story trailer, was recently released, and you get the people that are going to be all for it no matter what. You've got the people that are going to be against it no matter what. Cam and I like to try to pride ourselves on our ability to, despite our strong feelings about all things Star Wars, to look at things as objectively as possible. And Cam, you wrote the article up for this, right? Yep. Why don't you go ahead and tell people your as best objective thoughts of Star Wars Outlaws story trailer as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the story trailer was okay. The outside the Jabba the Hutt, there was a kind of reluctance to throw in some silly cameos, and kind of Jabba makes sense given the era we're in and the fact that it's the underworld. It seemed interesting in terms of the characters that we meet. In that underworld kind of thing seems interesting. I'm still not sure if the main character that we get to play seems interesting yet. I don't know. Does that matter sometimes in a game? Sometimes in a game it's more about, it's not your lead character that's important, it's all the other characters that go around about anyway because you're playing it. But it's all just cinematics, so it looks like a reasonably okay story, but my worry would be that it looks like a darker underworld or Wonderworld story, should I say, a criminal underworld, and then by halfway through the game she's going to have an epiphany, decide to help out the Rebel Alliance, and it's going to be
even that,
Rebels versus the Empire or something like that.
I don't even think we got to go that far, Cam, because they tell us in the trailer that she's basically someone that does this dirty stuff to get by, this criminal stuff to get by. Not that she's a bad person or really a scoundrel or outlaw. And it's like, go rob this guy so you can buy back your freedom. And of course she's going to, I mean, look, this seems almost like they're trying to do female version of Solo, a Star Wars story even.
Kind of, which might be okay if it's nothing to do with Han Solo, because but the issues with that movie were all the attempts to explain everything about Solo the actual,
which they're going to do with the Dawn of the
if you
Jedi
think
Force
about just
stuff.
the
Let's
basic
explain the
plot
Force away.
of trying to hijack some stuff, get away, steal some stuff for the Empire and bugger off. The basic plot of Solo is actually okay. It's the other stuff that doesn't work.
But that makes it seem unoriginal, and it's my point on that one was, again, why can't we just have a legitimate scoundrel? You know, like that was one of the things about Han shooting first. It was an important thing to like play into the fact that, you know, it took a lot to change that man. You know, it took him watching, well, originally it took him watching a couple of teenagers take on a Death Star for him to go, you know what? Maybe I should maybe I should reevaluate things. I'm going to take some time and reevaluate my life, you know?
I guess you've got to apply the same principles to any story. Like, it depends what happens and how much the kind of drama's played out in the story.
And this was a chance to have someone actually be a scoundrel and an outlaw versus the oppressed that's just making choices just to get by. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't feel as if there's much connections to it other than her trying to get out of the situation, which would actually be better if it's just a self-contained sort of story and it's her, like, you end the game by getting free from the bad guy or something like that that's been after you, or you destroy his network or something like that and blow up the base and you escape with loads of money. You know, that would be a decent ending, but that all remains to be seen. I think the main issue for me, though, is that cinematics are one thing and they look okay, but it's all going to be down to gameplay. That's where it comes in for. Is it going to be fun to play, or is it going to be like really repetitive, where you go to one place and you just do the same stuff that you've done everywhere else that you go? Because this is Ubisoft we're talking about, right? So it's an Ubisoft game.
Oh yeah.
So the world will look great. It'll look like a great open world, but there won't be that much in it to do, and a lot of the stuff will be copy and pasted from one level into another. So it'll be like, infiltrate this base using exactly the same tactics you used to infiltrate a different base earlier on, and so on and so forth. That's my worry, and we haven't seen enough of that yet to be able to judge.
To be fair, I love Spider-Man. I haven't played the second one yet. I've been busy, guys. Forgive me. But I love the first Spider-Man game on PlayStation 4. And so Sony's Spider-Man, whatever you want to call it.
I haven't played it, but I'd like to.
Excuse me. Yeah, I loved it. I think it's great. And it has one of those where you got to take down, you know, X amount of Fisk bases. And they're all the same. You sneak in, you try to use some stealth until you can't anymore, beat up the final bad guys, complete the stage.
You're using Spider-Man, though.
You're using Spider-Man, and they do try to, but it can get repetitive. But so what I'm saying is, I see your fear. I absolutely do. But the idea of doing kind of even Horizon uses similar things. You take on the outlaws on their encampments and stuff, but you gotta have enough, like you said.
But you know, The Witcher was the 3 was a phenomenal game. Everything, although, you know, there's a bandits here, you know, and you have to defeat them. There's a monster here, you have to kill it. You know, it's the same, but they had enough like story in it and difference enough in terms of how they set it all up that it feels different.
And you can choose how to attack it, whether you want to be, you know, noisy up front or sneaky. Destiny,
so which is playing the same stuff again and again at very hard difficulties to get loot and stuff like that. You know, so I'm used to playing repetitive, but you can
it's Ubisoft and we don't have any trust in them
being
able to do it well.
Yeah, I just been there before. I guess with Ubisoft, but we'll see. I won't buy it until I see some reviews, some boots on the ground for it anyway.
Yeah, looks are a thing. Looks are a thing for this. We've already had people talking about the main character and her look, which is drastically different than the model, and that's happened with several characters. And there's been a lot of discussion of female characters in gaming in the recent months. Stella Blade over on PS5 getting people in all sorts of funny situations, like IGN France saying that a woman has never seen a real woman. because they couldn't fathom a woman designing a character based off of a body scan of a real woman that looks like the character from Stellar Blade. Oh yeah, Cam, if you haven't heard that one's a fun little story. So looks are a thing, and when I was looking at this game, and I'm no like pro, man. My eyes are not the world's greatest eyes or anything like that, but I've been doing gaming for a long time. And I do pixel peek a bit, and I was looking for details. I was looking, where you see artifacts, how the hair looks, how things are moving. Did I notice frame rates drop? All sorts of things. Like you said, it's cinematics, but they are in-game cinematics. They are in-engine, like in-game cinematics, not a FMV, like a full motion video. For the most part, what we saw, and some of it. I don't know, man. I keep getting told that I should lower my expectations for AAA games these days. That if you want this open world, you're going to have to sacrifice this and this on models, but then other games won't. Or other games will decide, hey, we will play with textures, but our models are going to look phenomenal, right? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth does that, man. I get really mad because I think they didn't balance it quite well. The texture loading can look like dog shit, and some of them, but the models will look great, and the combat will look great, and I'm just like, there should have been a balance. Do you have any? I mean, do you have any issues with the looks of the game, the looks of the character? Have you even seen the actual model that they use? Because if you look at Cal Kestis over on Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, that looks pretty much like him, but this one, not at all. Not at all.
And I think that's the difference between who is it? The company that makes Jedi Survivor, is it Respawn?
EA, Respawn EA, whatever. And
Ubisoft for me, because that's what they do. This is not a AAA game. Anybody that says this is a AAA game is having a laugh. This is a licensed game, And
I
quite
think they
frankly,
want this to be a AAA game.
It's not. When was the last time we had? I mean, you could argue the Jedi games, Jedi Fallen Order, as AAA games. I don't really think they are. I don't think they're quite at that level. Certainly, the Battlefronts weren't Rogue Squadron.
I mean, those are meant to be. Those are meant to be. Squadrons wasn't.
These are just. The Force Unleashed was never a AAA. The last time we got a AAA Star Wars game, geez, I don't know. I don't think the actual Rogue Squadron game or the Rogue Leader
game. I wouldn't even call that a
AAA.
Maybe of the time, it was, but
that's. So to me, what you've got to ask yourself is, right, if this was just. Hundreds of games are made of, all the time. We just made up universes. If this didn't have the Star Wars license, if it was just called Outlaws and you saw this trailer and it had no connection to Star Wars whatsoever, would this look like an interesting game? Would this be getting people up and really thinking about it? And to me, they haven't shown anywhere near enough to generate that kind of interest, which an indie game that's starting out would have done, because they'd have said, well, we have to show people how fun this can look to get them to buy it. I think what they're doing is they're doing the usual they do with these things and put it out. It'll be okay, it'll be mediocre, but they know that they'll get money first few weeks before the reviews start to come out because of the Star Wars license, and people will just pick it up because it's a Star Wars game, and
I'm pretty sure this was
time in that universe.
I'm pretty sure this was a damn expensive game, and I know what you're saying. If this was just called Outlaws, my thing would be like, well, why am I playing a good guy then? Like, why am I playing someone like I want to see? We need more bad guys in this world because we're forgetting what good guys actually look like. And by good guys, I don't mean just dudes. People
love playing as bad guys. Look at GTA and how popular it is. People like playing as bad guys.
I love GTA 5.
It's never going to go that hard, but
I have played through the story of GTA 5 like 3 times, okay? And I actually really do enjoy it. I think GTA 5 would have made a hilarious series. Like if they'd ever made a GTA series, Not, I don't want to
it's
see them.
great
I don't
game.
want to see them adapt it. I'm just saying, like that story, those characters would have made a very fun series, like combining Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and comedy. It would have been a really cool experience.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm with you.
it
Like I
works in
can
that
play bad
fictional
guys. All
world,
three
and
of
I
those
love
are
the
bad
online
guys.
games as well.
Yeah.
But those that's a AAA game. That arguably, because they only bring one out every 10 years. It's a quadruple A game when a GTA comes out. It works. It looks good. It's fun to play. You kind of know and you trust what you're going to get with that. And I
Mhm.
think I have the opposite with Star Wars. Over the years, most Star Wars games are just really just cheap cash in licenses for me.
So
So
looking at just did a quick Google search and Reddit, Hindustan Times, a lot of different YouTubers and stuff are mentioning anywhere between 70 and $130 million budget for Outlaws, which would be a AAA budget, a AAA game
yeah,
budget. Yeah, I mean it would, and they need to make some money.
it's
Ubisoft needs to
way
make some
too.
money, not just off of a Star Wars game, but they need some money in general. They've really proven themselves to be assholes over
You
there
think this
about.
will make money though? I
I
think
I mean I want it to relatively. I don't like to see, like, I get it when
people like
people are like,
spending time in open world games in a universe that they like. You know, the Harry
yeah.
Potter game. People people want to be able to go. The idea that you can get in your ship and go from one planet to another and land, it hasn't been done. That's the selling point of this game.
Well, I mean,
Theoretically, that's what
Starfield tried to
the
do it.
I know.
Not for Star
Ga-
Wars, though. Yeah, I know what
when
you're
they did
saying.
the gameplay trailer, that's what they sold it on, and you thought that does look cool. But is that enough? That will be
How
enough
well
for
will it?
some people, but it wouldn't be enough for
Yeah.
me.
How
I'll
well
wait and
will it
see
actually
what
run?
people say and whether it's this is a fun game. I'm so many hours in, I'm still finding new things to do. Once you beat the game, you unlock this and you can play it again, and it makes you super powerful. These are the kind of things you're waiting to hear back from people, or like 5 hours in, I've just attacked this base and seen the same NPC for the 50th time. I'm switching this game off. That's what
If this happens
fun's
to
gonna be.
not be good, Cam, I know. Excuse me. I know the Jedi games are relatively well liked. I know that people have their
Yeah,
issues with them, especially when they first launch. There's always bugs and stuff because for some reason they can never fix things these days. They
that's
have to
just
get it
every
out to you
game now.
first.
You know,
Every game, yes, every game. That's
you
not
do.
just a Star Wars thing.
No,
That's everyone. But it's been a man. You're not even that hot on the Jedi games, right? And I know
no,
Shockey was
it's
like,
it's a level above Force Unleashed for me, which is just spam attacks and fight people. It just bores me.
um,
I need more than that.
what if this is bad? As much as they've been pushing this up, you're looking at let's just split the difference and call this $100 million game, between the low end and the high end of some of these estimates. Let's just call it $100 million game. What if it's actually not good? Like, think about the
And
last time
people
you
won't
really
buy it
enjoyed a Star Wars game. What was it?
until it goes on sale. I mean, that's what I mean. I don't. It was probably. I guess Battlefront 2, once they fixed a lot of the issues, I liked the Starfighter part of it. I didn't really like the other parts of it.
Mm.
And I still thought it was a bit cheap and nasty looking.
Mhm.
So really, if I'm going back, it's probably the Rogue Squadron and Rogue Leader game,
Jeez.
for the
Uh,
N64 was the last time we got a really good Star Wars
the Rogue
game for.
Squadrons on GameCube are all right. I
Sorry,
liked.
I think GameCube. I meant N64 and GameCube because I
Okay,
think one
yeah,
of them was Rogue Leader and one of them was Rogue Squadron. I think
yeah.
the kind of sequel to it, which
There
was
was
just
three
a
total, if I'm not
souped up
mistaken, and
version.
two of them ended up on GameCube, if I'm not mistaken.
Mate, I
Um,
had them all.
but regardless,
I know
yeah,
that, and
yeah.
they were excellent games, but they were limited of their time. But that's the kind of thing that would make me set up a fully realized, 3D backgrounds, good models, triple the amount of ships on screen that you can get now compared to what you could get back in those days.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
would impress me
they
and make me
but they
set
tried
up
to
for
give they
those.
tried their hand at an arcade style space fighting game, and we got the squadrons, which was just
And it
the
was
cutout
really,
part of the
yeah,
Battlefront, but boring.
it
Um,
really was budget. They just smashed that out instead of
that was
just bringing
awful.
that out as updates into the Battlefront game, which was probably what it was designed for. They just tried to make some
Yep.
money by shipping that separately, and it wasn't enough to. I
And
don't
that's what
think it
I'm.
even released on day one as full price game, so it wasn't even
Mm-mm.
marketed as like a full price game to begin with. And if you're going to do it right, or just don't do it at all.
Exactly. And that's what I'm kind of getting at is burning, or not burning, I mean, yeah, burning bridges, but just like losing what little faith anyone might actually have left. Like, I don't think people realize how much all these little hits. Every time something's disappointing, it makes a I you flinch, right? You flinch whenever something has disappointed you in a property, whether it's a comic book line, Marvel,
Yeah, I
whether
get
it's
what you
like
mean.
Spider-Man, Hulk, or Batman and Superman over on DC. If one particular book versus the entire brand, or multiple books under a brand, video games, movies, I've mentioned the MCU and how today, whenever something comes out MCU, I'm like, I need someone to tell me that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Otherwise, I'm not watching it, because too many times recently been burned. Dude, where's the good faith for Star Wars if this does suck?
I agree with you, but I think in some elements, the video game industry hasn't treated Star Wars well, and the games have always been a bit meh, to be honest. And
For
it
some.
it didn't used
Depends
to
on what
hurt the
you're
brand.
into.
I don't think it hurts the brand as much as when a bad show or a bad movie comes out, which really hurts it.
Yeah.
Far more than games, because games you can kind of always 10 years later you can just say, oh, that's not canon anymore, that game, and no one really cares. I mean, it's because it was just a daft video game. Will the adventures of Vess, whatever her name is, really matter to the canon in any way? Probably not. Hopefully that the story doesn't touch on anything, that's just its own contained story, and then you don't need to worry about it. um I don't know. We'll wait and see. Yeah, it'll hurt the brand. No more than the last 4 or 5 things have hurt the brand. Probably though. At this point,
Oh,
the brand is not doing well.
no,
To be
no, it's
honest,
not. And it shouldn't be this hard. It wasn't this hard back in the 90s. Yeah, sure. You didn't have as large of a fan base because you weren't making new movies and shows, but
there was
between the
less
comics, the
content.
novels,
Hmm.
the games, you sure sold a hell of a lot more toys back when there was less content being made.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
It,
my god, you sold
kids
so
kids
much
don't care
more.
about Star
So
Wars
much
anymore.
more.
Or most kids, it's not really, that it's not the holy franchise that it used to be. It's just now,
Yeah.
that's Star Wars stuff. You're either into it or you're not into it. No,
I
it's
never
not
thought I'd see
better.
the day it'd be like that, man. I never thought I'd see the day Marvel would be the way that it is. So, hey,
I always thought it would
whatever.
happen eventually. These
I
things,
figured
they
it would
always
die
go
off
that way.
slowly. I didn't figure it would just freaking jump off of a
No,
damn
I never
cliff.
thought it would. They would jump off the cliff so quick after Endgame. No, I didn't think that.
Oh,
And hopefully they can right the ship a little bit and still
hopefully.
keep us
I would
interested
love to
in it.
be
But
entertained
we'll
again.
see.
I would love to be entertained again.
I'm less sure about Star Wars. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of other Star Wars content, man, you keeping up on Bad Batch? Is that over yet? Because I ain't watching it.
No, it's not over yet. I think they're kind of can't remember how many episodes there is in the series, so forgive me. So I don't know how far we
That's
are
okay.
for the end. I kind of get the feeling we're building up to the kind of finale at the moment. As Omega's been captured again. But they actually did it quite well.
Oh, okay.
And it's all coming to a head because she she's the key to being able to.
There will be 15 episodes total.
Midichlorians. They don't call it midichlorians though. They always call it M count in the show.
Because the word was stupid. You guys heard me. It was stupid.
So anyway, so she seems to be the key. So it's all building up to, and I'm sure at some point they won't be successful, obviously, or else, that the sequels would have not happened the way they did, and, all the failed clones and everything like that, so they won't be successful. But that's what it's building up to, that she's the key to the Emperor being able to clone himself, probably. And, they'll do something to stop that in the end. It's not going to end in tragedy, but I think there could be some deaths and stuff like that, and it's a show that it's better when it's darker. The best character's the darkest character in it, so it's one of those kind of things. But we'll see how it pans out. It's worth watching. It's half an hour. Me turn watch it when you're doing something else. Keep half an eye on it. It's that kind of thing. Not that.
I got anime to watch. I started thinking. I couldn't remember, other than Andor, the last things that I enjoyed in Star Wars, thoroughly enjoyed in Star Wars, were season 2 of Mando. And I know the episodes, what we jokingly call 2.5, the Mando episodes of Book of Boba Fett. But
Boba Fett, yeah.
As far as the actual property or, show or whatnot itself, Mando season 2 and Star Wars Visions. And I'm just sitting there man, and that's the first Visions. The second one was fine. First one, in my opinion, had more better segments in it, and not just because they were all anime studios. I just found the actual. And I mean, hey, the second one used 3 stop motion animations, and that was just you guys are kind of doing the same thing a little too much. You should have more variety. Anyways, it's been a while. I'm wanting something good. I'm wanting someone to come up and tell me, Kyle, this is the best thing from Star Wars.
Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi was okay.
I didn't care. I know. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying I saw it, but I just don't care. I don't care for the animation. Again, this is not me crapping on it. I'm not saying it's bad because I literally don't care. I don't care for the animation. I don't care for the characters. I have no connection to any of this. I just don't care. And when you say Tales of the Empire, I'm expecting a lot more, Empire, not just characters we've already known and not stuff tangentially to the Force or what. I would love to see literally Tales of the Empire, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it seems as if we'll spend a lot of time with Morgan Elsbeth in terms of that she'll be like the Dooku, or this or whatever, and Barriss Offee will be the Ahsoka, if you like, in terms of the 2 main characters that we follow. And, Barriss Offee could be interesting depending on where she goes. A lot of Star Wars fans been wanting to know what happened to her because it was a bit of a mystery. But you need to watch Clone Wars to get into that.
We could have had
Morgan Elsbeth.
We could have had Tales of the Empire following some TIE fighter pilots and doing missions against the rebels, and we could have had Tales of the Empire dealing with stormtroopers. Everyone was really excited to see some stormtrooper stuff, especially First Order troopers, which aren't clones. But the sequel trilogy just pissed away any freaking worthwhile storylines on a regular basis throughout all 3 movies. It seemed. That's what I was kind of hoping for, not what this was. So again, I'm not crapping on it because it's just nothing I really care about. But I would love for you to be like, Kyle, this is the greatest freaking Star Wars thing since Andor. Please watch it.
I don't think it will be. No, Tales of the Jedi was okay because it went dark a little bit, and we'll see. I watch this one, but it doesn't look as good. But then I didn't think Tales of the Jedi would be that good when I watched the trailers, and then I ended up liking it when I watched the show. So we'll see how it goes.
I would just
some other news, I guess we've got a bit upcoming stuff anyway. Is that the movie, its working title was being called Dawn of the Jedi from
Yeah.
James Mangold, got a new co-writer, and Mando and Grogu got a release date as well.
Yeah. What was the really 2020 May 26th for Grogu and?
Well, I'll just check because my memory's not very
Okay,
good.
yeah, I'll look that up. The Dawn of the Jedi thing. I mentioned this weeks ago, maybe months ago now, that I don't need the Force explained, and I really don't want them to do that. I really don't want to go to because I always thought that was one of the worst things George did, was trying to explain the Force. I don't give a shit how I've got it. I got the website. You just disappeared, Cam. I don't know if you realize that. Yeah, May of 2026, May 22nd, 2026 for Mandalorian and Grogu. Are you still there, Cam? Yeah, I think you're coming back. There you go. All right, you're muted.
Yeah,
by the way.
I don't know what happened there when I went
That's
to
all good.
check the website. And it just
I got it.
kicked me out for some
May
reason.
22nd, 2026 for that. But like I said, I don't need the Force explained. Like, I don't, and I know you guys countered. You're like, well, what if it's like the beginning of the Jedi Order? Even then, I don't know if that's necessarily the interesting part. You know, maybe the first battle between Jedi and Sith, you know, light and dark side, like the fracture, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I would be more interested in the fracture than the fight. I
really don't
grew apart would be more interesting to me.
I don't really know if I really don't know if I need this freaking explained, and I don't know why some people, like, this is the type of thing you get in a essential guide. That's what I want from an essential guide. How did the Force come out? Who was the first person to? Oh, it was this dude and that guy. And can we get a better name than Slero, too, by the way? One last jab at Outlaws. That name is stupid. God, they come up with some stupid names. Oh, and the freaking AIM helmets, like the AIM Marvel villains, Advanced Idea Mechanics, the square box helmets. Oh my God, Star Wars, you used to be cool. What is up with you just trying to be awful? What were we talking about before I went on that?
The Dawn of the Jedi thing, you know, you don't fancy it. But, you know, all depends on the story. They don't really have, unlike maybe if this was a fantasy novel, you'd have, like, you know, this happened, that happened, then that happened, then that happened. They haven't really done that in Star Wars. They haven't run back, not in canon anyway, and really kind of explained anything. So really they have got a blank canvas on how they need to do it. All they need to do is have it so that it's believable that 1,000 years, well, it's more than that, isn't it? More than 1,000 years later, we could get to, that's the way the Jedi are then, you know, which is a long, long time for things to change and for things to be passed on and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So it really just depends. I mean, it could be the story of two brothers who, you know, join this fledgling new order, discover about the Force, you know, with the very first people but grow apart and end up one going down the dark road and one having to kind of,
do you
think it will,
do you think they'll just use the father, the son, and the daughter stuff? Do you think they'll just use that as a cyclic thing that goes back 25,000 years? The first Force users was this family. Like, do you think they'll go that route? And if they did, would you be excited?
No, I think that's best kept for myth and not really kind of fully understanding
what's going on. Mortis
there.
is a real thing in a real place. Abeloth, people are still freaking getting their jollies off on the idea of Abeloth being a thing, and I hated her in the books, let alone the hints and stuff. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna use it, and that's what I'm saying. We don't need we don't need it. There are much more interesting stories out there.
Story James Mangold will be interested in telling. That just doesn't. That would be if Filoni was making it, then I'd be like, okay, you know.
Well, no,
I don't think that's what James Mangold will do.
Maybe we'll see.
We'll see. It's either a good film or it's not. If it's not, and no one cares about it, they won't make any more for that era, you know. Or not for a while anyway. If it's good and we all like it, it's potential to open it up into a brand new avenue. And we always said go really far behind or really far ahead. Yeah, and they have went really far behind.
But not just to explain something to me, to tell a story, not just explain something. I don't.
I'm sure
tell a story. Don't fill in gaps.
Get a pitch that was just, we'll explain this. You know, he must have had an idea. But anyway, Bo Willimon is helping him out now in terms of co-writing it, and he's got pretty decent resume, to be perfectly honest.
Some Andor episodes, including the One Way Out episode.
5. Yeah. That 3-episode arc was him. And that was the best 3-episode arc in the show.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the best writing you would say was actually Luthen's monologue. But as a story arc, I think it was the Makina 5. There's that. He wrote House of Cards. That was a really good show until
it wasn't.
Happened with Spacey and stuff like that. That's why that show went the way it did. It wasn't because of the writing. But the first couple of series were actually very, very well written and very good in that. And I have seen the original from that, which was actually a British thing, called House of Cards.
We've taken a few things from British TV and done better. Shameless is one of my favorite ones. I tried to watch British Shameless. That was awful. Not enough hot chicks whatsoever.
British people would definitely say that our version of Shameless was better, but I can get that. I don't like The Office, so I couldn't compare them.
I'm not.
But I would admit that I actually preferred the American House of Cards to the British version, and that might be because it was so old. But anyway, I think it was well written, and he's a good writer. James Mangold, I don't know how much I like him. I wasn't that huge on Logan. I didn't really like the latest Indiana Jones film. So, I'm lukewarm on him. I'm more excited about Bo Willimon than I am him, to be perfectly honest with you. But we'll see what happens.
I did not like Logan, but I am not a fan of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and I don't know why people are. When it's like he's not comic Wolverine, he's not cartoon Wolverine, he is just a movie version.
I like him.
I don't know why. I just said that. God, didn't you listen?
No, I don't know why you don't like him.
I just explained he's not Wolverine in any way. He's like this original version of it for the movies, and it's not. I didn't even like the movies. Like they.
And I didn't love the movies, but he was the best thing in the movies.
I know, but that's like saying, man, I didn't like having STDs, but gonorrhea was the best because I could get rid of it. I mean, you know.
It's not the same as saying that at all. That's a bad one.
All right, guys. Now that we're on anything and everything but Star Wars, we'll end it there. Check out these stories and more over at lrmonline.com. Usually written by Cam Clark, sometimes by Shockey, occasionally by myself. We also have other writers, and if you've ever considered being a writer or contributors, if you've ever considered writing, contributing in entertainment news, send us an email, kylem@lrmonline.com, or Cam at lrmonline.com, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Cam at lrmonline.com. Let us know what you're interested in writing about, if it's in entertainment, if it's geeky, if it's pop culture, if it's hoity-toity stuff, if it's tabletop gaming, anime, manga, comics, doesn't matter. If you got a passion for it, we're looking for people to write about it. GenreVerse YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Lots of great anime content, trailer reactions, movie reviews, podcasts for all of geek, pop culture, entertainment, live streams and whatnot. GenreVerse Sports, like I said, Cam holding it down over there with his fellow Redcoats, talking soccer, and of course all of our podcasts on your favorite podcast app. Cam, was there anything else you wanted to throw in there?
Can't think. I think you've covered everything suitably well, so
appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. May the force be with you.